I have been patiently waiting for someone to say some dumb shit on this matter just so I'd have an excuse to talk about it. Let me start off by saying that y'all need some new arguments if you're going to say the Dimitrescu daughters are straight. That, or you need to play the damn game. The people who say they're straight simply based on how they acted toward Ethan conveniently forget that they are literal sadistic cannibals who want nothing more than to eat him. When they're first introduced, they literally talk about eating him. What about that is flirty? When playing the game, I got the sense they were just playing with their food. And any flirty comments are either to put him further on edge or an attempt to get his guard down. They've been hunting and eating humans for over 60 years. Why would they genuinely flirt with some random white guy that broke into their house and is trying to kill them? They are predators, and Ethan is their prey. What's so hard to understand about that? Even in this scene, behind the text, Bella's first words to her mother are that she's brought fresh prey. They do not want to fuck him, so come up with something else if you're gonna say they're straight. Anyways, let's talk about each daughter individually. Bella is the oldest, and as such, it would make sense for her to take after her mother the most in her man-hating ways. She strives to be just like her, so it wouldn't be wrong to assume her distaste for men rivals that of her mother's. She does talk about being tired of drinking women's blood, but that's just a hint that they killed and ate all the staff days prior. Eating or drinking one thing for days on end is bound to make anyone tired of the taste. I looked at the wiki to see which lines we actually hear in game, and I'll put it in the description for each daughter. However, the only flirty line she has is that she says he has a handsome face. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Anyone of any sexuality can find someone attractive or pretty or handsome but not be attracted to them. Aside from that, she calls him stupid, degrades him, and talks about wanting to drain him dry or eat him. Nowhere in her voice lines does she ever implicitly or explicitly flirt with him. And why should she? Ethan is an intruder in her home, and she's been tasked with bringing him back to her mother, dead or alive. She's playing with her food, and she's directing him to move a certain way so she can corner him, which she did in her cutscene right before her mini-boss battle. She does not flirt with him, nor does she ever imply she wants anything more than to literally eat him. She's a cannibal. It's also funny that when I bring up how I personally think they're fruity, there's always one or two people that claim they can't be because they probably just hate humans in general. You might be correct, but they're still people. They have feelings and emotions just like anyone else does, even if they're a little twisted. Who's to say they wouldn't be curious and experiment with the maids? But also, why do I only ever see y'all use that argument when it comes to them being fruity? Where's that energy when someone calls them straight or when a man simps for them? Y'all are some hypocrites. I won't go too deeply into the actual evidence or theories on why they're all fruity unless y'all want me to, because this is just a video debunking the whole. But look how they spoke to Ethan. Argument. Get some new arguments. It's boring to see the same regurgitated statement 50 other people have said and have had debunked. Anyways, let's look at Cassandra. She is my absolute favorite to talk about when it comes to her being straight. Anyone who claims she is has never played the game or looked at who she is beyond her chatty behavior. Anytime she talks to Ethan, it's her detailing what gruesome ways she wants to deal with his body. Stringing him up, cutting him open, mounting his head on the wall. The list goes on. The only time she flirts, according to some of y'all, is when she says something along the lines of, "Like that? Harder?" which is usually said after she attacks him. It's really not that hard to understand. Cassandra canonically only sees Ethan as her prey and something to be hunted. I don't even think she really views him as a person with the way she talks to him. She has another line after she attacks him that goes something like, "Give me more of that beautiful voice," which makes sense, considering she's the most sadistic and would want to hear her victims crying out in pain. What we see and hear of her in-game is not her being a sexual or kinky sadist. She literally wants to tear into him and eat him. But also, did we just conveniently forget her fruity mannerisms? She literally does the lesbian pose as she walks. And those hip movements? She's gay. Anyways, so she talks to Ethan like he's just some animal for her to hunt. And y'all took that as her flirting? Yikes. It's very odd to me when y'all bring up their voice lines and how they flirted with Ethan, because they very clearly didn't, except for Daniela. But we'll get into that. Like, did we play the same game? I never once got the feeling they were flirting with him, considering how often they talk about wanting to eat him and drain him. If you have any other sources besides Trust Me Bro as to why they're straight, I'd love to hear them, but I know you don't have any. Anyways, Cassandra is the fruitiest of the daughters. Let's move on. Yes, Daniela does flirt with Ethan. That much is clear. However, I believe I did go deeper into the why or my theory on it in her character essay. To briefly explain, Daniela is just as cruel and sadistic as her sisters are, and her flirting with Ethan was likely a mix between her delusions and her trying to pretend she wouldn't hurt him, as well as the sadism. Throughout her voice lines, many of the flirty lines often have a hidden meaning, and it's usually that she wants to eat him or tear into him, just like what we've heard from her sisters. A majority of her lines are often said in a patronizing tone, and she'll talk slow and loud like Ethan is just a toddler or an inferior being that's unable to comprehend what she's saying. Like, she even explicitly states several times how much she wants to eat him or how she can't wait for dinner, and y'all still think she was actually interested in him. I feel like a lot of people don't look beyond her flirty personality and assume she wants to fuck anything with two legs, despite the fact that she's intelligent and literally knows he's trying to kill her. She's not some child that isn't aware of what's happening. She's just in denial, and I definitely went into detail about that in her character essay. Just like how the rest of her family thinks, she doesn't view Ethan as anything more than prey and food. That's it. I'm not saying she can't be bisexual or just sapphic in some way, but to assume she's straight based on her voice lines alone is a very bland take. Not to mention that these girls have been raised with Lady Dimitrescu, who is notorious for hating men and viewing them as the inferior gender. That has obviously rubbed off on her daughters. There's obviously a lot more to why many people think they're sapphic, but that's not what this particular video was for. It was just to point out how stupid that comment was. It's just silly to assume characters that explicitly say several times how much they want to eat someone must be flirting with them. It's almost like when someone tells you no multiple times but you don't listen. I do feel like a lot of people view them as straight because they see themselves in Ethan's shoes and don't understand what's actually happening in the story. You are not Ethan. You being attracted to them does not mean he was, or that they were attracted to him. But also, why does it matter so much that y'all get your panties in a twist when you see that someone calls them gay? It literally affects nothing about the game whatsoever. You can still find them attractive. You can still consume media that caters to them. Being straight or preferring men, no one's stopping you. Having a silly, harmless headcanon about a character affects nothing about the game, nor does it ruin the character like y'all love to claim it does. Take Apex Legends, for example. They canonically have gay and trans characters, but does that affect your gameplay at all? No, that's what I thought. It literally doesn't matter. Go finish your homework instead of making a fool out of yourself when you see that someone has a harmless opinion. Anyways, that's all I've got on the matter for now. I urge y'all who start arguments in my comments over a silly headcanon to be less miserable in your life. I hope y'all are staying safe and happy in these trying times. Please remember to drink plenty of water and eat lots of food, and thank you so much for watching.